Yes, I'm here today this day for tell you about this guy called Padem. Padem is a guy that sent from God for the African people to fight. I want every one of you in Africa to listen to this guy because the leaders of Africa, every sectors of Africa, the youth, the elders people, the law passing people, they need to listen to Padem. Padem is a real messenger from God because he's passing the right message. I don't want to say a lot because I want you to listen to this special message from Padem because he's saying the right thing. He's saying the truth about Africa, how US, the UK, the European Unions, the Chinas, the people are using Africa. The cause of the war in Sierra Leone here, the people are behind it. The war in Niger, the war in Guinea, the war in all over Africa, Nigeria, the people that are they are giving money, they are giving weapons to sponsor this wars. The UK, the Americans people, they will never tell you this because they are the one that behind this. The Libya president, the former president, Gaddafi was killed by these people, the US. So please, I want you to listen to Padem and get your message and give me your comment. What do you think about this guy? This kind of human being have been sent for to say the truth because these are the message African leaders are not spreading out. These are the message the US people because they will not send it out because of they are the one behind it and they are using the African leaders to kill our careers, to kill our culture, to kill our people, our youth, so we will not be having anything to show out there. I'll tell you the cost of the war that have been put in Africa. They will never. They will just come with solidarity, saying that they want to help Africa, they want to assist, but it's a black lie. It's a black lie. These people are witchcraft. They are witchcraft to Africa. We need to stop this. We need to tell our leaders that these people are witchcraft. We don't need them. We need to drive them from Africa. Because Joe Biden here sitting going to say that these people are misusing. Trump is saying Africa is a shithole. They are pulling off our minarets in Africa here. Then they are open their big mouths and they are paid. Let's listen to this guy because this thing is getting out of anger. Big up to Padem for your good message.
In your own country as a black man, it's only a black leader who will accept this stupidity. To be a president of your own country and being controlled by someone who commands you to tell you what to do in your country. How many of you, the stupid African leaders, command European prime ministers? How many? How many of you, the African leaders, African stupid leaders, command European prime ministers? You can never have that right to command European prime ministers and tell them what should happen in their country and what should not happen. So why are you, the African stupid leaders, allowing European prime ministers to command you in your country and to tell you what you should do in your country and what you should not do? This is why I said, they said slavery is gone, but we are still commanded by these same peoples, Americans, UK, and Europeans. And that's what should be stopped. Europeans should not command Africa, should not decide what should happen in Africa. Americans should not command Africa and they should not decide what should happen in Africa or what should not happen because that continent belongs to black Africans. And if our leaders are foolish, stupid leaders in Africa accepting that commandment from Europeans, Americans, and UK, and the citizens of Africa are ready to abandon that one, we are no more going to accept that rubbish. It is not going to be possible in Africa anymore. When you are a president in your own country as an African leader, could you wake up and come to one of these European countries and tell them what should happen in their country or what should not happen? You will never have that feat. You will never be that lion who will come to European countries and command European prime ministers. So if you will never be that lion as a leader of Africa, if you will never command European prime ministers, then why are you allowing European prime ministers to command you or UK prime ministers to command you? What have Boris Johnson done to Africa, the former UK Prime Minister? Boris Johnson. The former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, what have he done to Africa? He was the cause of that war that happened in Ethiopia. He was the cause of the war it happened in this place, in Sierra Leone. Every conflict that was happening in Sierra Leone was caused by this UK former President Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson was causing a conflict in Nigeria. Whatever killing and nonsense that was happening in Nigeria was caused by this same Boris Johnson, former Prime Minister in Inglaterra. What have Tony Blair done to Gambia? Whatever the president of Gambia right now is rubbishly doing to Gambians is commanded by Tony Blair, because that man was sponsored in his politics by Tony Blair from UK. What have UK done to Africa? You know, if I see UK citizens coming out and pumping their chest like we are UK, what is UK? UK is bloody damn fool country that was causing a lot of wars in Africa, and none of you, the UK citizens, can come out and pump your chest in front of Africans because we make you survive. You survive by us. You suck the blood of Africans to survive, and that's what we want to stop in Africa. Tony Blair was sponsoring Gambian president when he was a politician. Gambian president was sponsored by Tony Blair in his political career, and when he became president, he was controlled by Tony Blair. He took commandment from Tony Blair. And how many wars Tony Blair caused in Africa? Tony Blair from UK. I mentioned their names because they are the devils and the evils and the cause of every corruption in Africa. But today, Tony Blair is sitting on Chattanham videos in UK. In UK TV station called Chattanham, Tony Blair will go and sit there and talk nonsense about Africa. Where did Tony Blair get that win from? To sit in Chattanham and they video him, he is speaking rubbish about Africa. How did Tony Blair know Africa? When do Tony Blair started to know things about Africa, if not causing wars in Africa? When did Boris Johnson know something about Africa, if not stealing from Africa? But all these people are there just doing rubbish to Africa, and they go and sit in their bloody TV stations and speak of the corruption in Africa. When you, Joe Biden, American president, what do you know about Africa? What do you know about Africa? If in your own history, the American history, you don't know nothing about American history, what can you tell America about the American history, how America was built? You, Joe Biden, the American foolish president who think he control Africa, he can tell Africans what should happen in Africa and what should not happen in Africa. That rubbish is going to stop. It's going to stop. Mark my face. We don't come here to joke with you people anymore. We are tired of begging you for freedom, and we will no more beg for freedom. Africans are no more going to beg any white man for freedom. We are going to fight till the end and get what we want. What peace can bring to Africa, war will bring to Africa. If Africa cannot have peace and freedom in peace, then we should get it in pieces. And that's what we are going to stand for now. If Joe Biden is sitting in American TVs and sitting and talking about the corruptions of Africa, what do Joe Biden know about corruption? The American president. Do he even know the definition of corruption? Who is corrupt more than Joe Biden, the American president? No leader is corrupt more than Joe Biden, the American president. No leader is corrupt like Boris Johnson, the UK former prime minister. Nobody is corrupt more than Macron, France president. All these people are corruptions. France, what is France doing to Africa? By using Africa and building France's economy. Using Senegal. France is using Senegal. France is using Sierra Leone. France is using Cote d'Ivoire. France is using Mali. France was using all these countries. Burkina Faso. Guinea-Bissau. Let's talk about all these countries. France was using all these countries to build their economy. France want to rule Africa. And if France want to rule Africa, I want to tell them this. They should be ready that there will be conflict between Africa and France. Either you believe it or you don't believe it. Whatever France is trying to do today, they want to stop Africans speaking any other language, but they want every African country to speak French language. Is it by force? You bring your language to our continent to destroy Africa. When America and Inglaterra have colonized Africa, France colonized Africa, and they bring their language to us for us to learn their language, not to learn their language, but to learn about their systems. This is what they do to Africa. If we learn about their language, we are not speaking their language properly, then we should know that there are people who learn English in Africa, they graduated, they cannot even speak proper English. What is that? The books they send to Africa, how the education system in Africa to learn about English, if you go to Angleterre, is different in their schools. If you go to Africa, one student is learning about 17 subject or 18 subject of English language. 17 subject. But if you go to Angleterre, their citizens are studying only one subject, only one course. But Africa, how many subjects are we doing in school? If you are learning English school. Then if Tony Blair and Boris Johnson, those UK fucking prime ministers, are sitting in their TV stations to talk about the corruption in Africa, and nobody is coming out to against them. Joe Biden, who doesn't know how America was even built, was talking about the corruptions of Africa when your forefathers were there stealing from Africa and enslaved Kunta Kinte, and we are still with that pain. And you, Joe Biden, you sit in American TV to talk about the corruptions of Africa when you don't ask how America was built. America was built by our forefathers. America belongs to black people, don't belongs to no damn white man. Because we built America. America become America today because of we the black peoples. When you were enslaving our forefathers like Kunta Kinte to take them to America and make them a slave. You didn't remember that. But now you still want to talk about the corruption in Africa when that corruption was caused by you, Joe Biden, you, Boris Johnson from UK, you, Tony Blair from UK, Macron from France, France president. Go to European Union Parliament, they are all bloody damn fools. They use Africa to build European economy, and they sit here and talk about the sovereignty of Africa. Why are you speaking about the sovereignty of Africa when you are the cause of that sovereignty on Africans? Why? Why are you speaking about the corruption in Africa when you are the cause of the corruption in Africa? That's what I want to know. Why are you the European Union Parliament when you are meeting, you only speak about how to involve Africa, but to make Africa being slave to you still yet? But you come on the world TV and tell the world that you are having a partnership with Africa. How did that benefit Africa? European Union having a meeting or having a join with African Union, how did that benefit Africa? But I don't blame you, the European Union Parliament workers. I blame the damn bloody African Union who call themselves African Union. They stand for African countries while they are being used by European Union. We have the second European Union in Africa. We call it African Union. Why are you trying to blindfold Africans? Why? But you sit in your TV stations to show to your children that how Africans are suffering in Africa, how Africans are fools, how Africans are hungry in Africa, how Africans are dying without food, without no water. But you make a war in Africa and you go there to make a video and come to your country and show it to your children that Africans are making war, Africans are killing each other, Africans are eating each other. But you don't tell your children that you are the cause of that war happening in Africa. You never tell your children. You, the Europeans, Americans, and UK, you never tell your children that you are the cause of every war in Africa and you are the cause of every killing happening in Africa. But you sit in your TV station to show to your children that Africans are nobody. Because you want your children to believe that Africans are nobody, Africans are zero. This is why in Europe, every black man in Europe have no respect from these children of Europeans. Because they have already seen in their TVs, their fathers were telling them stories about Africa, while their fathers didn't know no story about Africa. When you, the Europeans, were suffering and dying by malaria, when you went to Africa, Sierra Leone to search for cure, you never explain that story to your children. Why you never tell your children that you were in Africa dying of malaria when Africans have found a cure and give you medicine to cure yourself? You never tell that one to your children. Why you never explain that story to European children? But you always want to show the cause of the war that you were causing in Africa. You always want to show them the hunger, the suffering in Africa. You are saying you are planning to help that country. When I saw Joe Biden speaking about Nigeria, the conflict that is happening in Nigeria, the suffering in Nigeria, the hunger in Nigeria, Joe Biden is not even feeling ashamed to talk about the conflict and the corruption and the suffering in Nigeria. When Joe Biden is the main cause of that, to everything that is happening there. When Joe Biden was the supplier of weapons to Boko Haram to kill Nigerians. When Joe Biden was sitting and calling Muslims a terrorist. When Joe Biden himself is a terrorist, because Joe Biden was sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria. Joe Biden was sponsoring weapons to Boko Haram. And Boko Haram, they call themselves Muslims. And Boko Haram is a terrorist group that was sponsored by Joe Biden, American government. Then why do Joe Biden go and sit in American TV and talking about the conflict and corruption in Nigeria and war in Nigeria? Why don't you tell them how the conflict and war and corruption happen in Nigeria? Why you, Joe Biden, don't sit and explain to Americans how did that happen? How did Boko Haram was getting weapons? Why do Joe Biden don't go and sit and explain that? But you are sitting in TV station to show to Americans that you know something about Nigeria. That only make it clear that you are the cause of everything. How do you know Boko Haram is a Muslim terrorist group when you are not supplying them with weapons? But you are supplying them with weapons, and you sit in your own TV stations to talk about the corruptions in Africa and the wars in Africa. Why? When you don't even know how America was built. But you believe America belongs to American white peoples. How many black communities do we have in America? How many black communities? That only should show you that America belongs to black peoples. The example of America belongs to black peoples was choosing to make it clear by Obama when Obama became a president in America, became a tough fool who doesn't care about what happened in Africa. How can a black man like you know the story of your forefathers like Obama, you become a president of America, you still remain fool and still cause corruptions in Africa. Obama was also causing corruptions in Africa. I don't care if Obama is a black man, but Obama was causing a lot of corruptions in Africa. When Obama became the president of America, was causing corruptions in Africa, was causing conflict in Africa. Let's talk about it. What the hell to hide again? What do you want from us? Huh? When you cause conflict in our countries, when you cause wars in our countries, cause corruptions in our countries, now when black people started to migrate to come to Europe, Europeans want to beat them chest that they are the one helping black people. So who are you helping? Who the hell? You are helping your parents. If you help a black man, you help your parents. Because black people are your parents. How can Europeans come out to beat up their chest because black people are migrating from Africa to Europe? Huh? So Europeans want to come out to beat up their chests because black people are migrating from Africa to Europe. They say they don't need black people. Black people are criminals. Black people are killers. Black people are terrorists. Your father is a terrorist. I tell you, you the Europeans, go and ask your prime ministers. Your prime ministers are terrorists on Africans. Your prime ministers have been terrorizing in Africa and stealing our natural resources. European, and all the European prime ministers were terrorizing Africa. And that's what we are going to say. So if you, the European citizens, don't know anything in your life, only bloody fools, you know whatever you see in TV, that's what you believe. What do you see in real life? Europeans. What do Europeans see in real life? They only believe in TVs, what they hear in radio stations, in TVs, in newspapers. You don't know nothing in your real life. But your prime ministers who are telling you that Africans are terrorists, Africans are criminals, Africans are killers, but those European prime ministers are terrorizing on Africans, killing Africans, causing wars in Africa, causing corruptions in Africa, but they are still sitting here and talking about how Africans are dirty. If Africans are dirty, then why you, the Europeans in 1850, went to Africa, Sierra Leone to search for medicine? If Africans are dirty, why you, the Europeans, migrate to Africa to go and search for help? Why? Because we migrate to your country. Are you the Europeans never migrating? Europeans were the first people to migrate. But now Europeans feel like they never migrate. They never migrate. How many European citizens we have outside Europe as a migration, as an immigrant? How many European citizens? It's uncountable. What do you people have that you can beat your chest because Africans are migrating from Africa to come to Europe, and you said, no, we don't need black people. We don't need black people in our countries because black people are criminal. Black people steal our jobs. You are a fool, a big fool. Your prime ministers, European prime ministers are terrorists. European prime ministers are murderers. European prime ministers are corruptions. They cause corruptions in Africa. They cause wars in Africa. They cause conflict in Africa. And they come and sit in Europe here and fool you people and brainwash you, the European citizens, telling you that black people are corrupted. There are more corruption in Africa. Africans are hungry. Africans don't have food. Africans don't know education. If Africans don't know education, why do Africans win every competition in this world? If Africans don't have better life, why do Africans have leaders? Why do Africa is still living? Why do your leaders are tired of destroying Africa? If Africa is not a place, if Africans doesn't know nothing, then by right now I tell you, the European prime ministers have finished Africa. What is your mission in this world? Every prime minister in Europe, their mission is to destroy Africa, to make sure that Africa remain in poverty, to make sure that Africa remain undeveloped. That is the mission of European prime ministers. That is the mission of Uncle Prime Minister. That is the mission of you, Joe Biden, in America, who doesn't even know how America was built. All your mission is to destroy Africa. How many years? For a decade now, you have been trying to destroy Africa, to make Africa a nothing. But still Africans are surviving. That alone should show you that you can never destroy Africa. Your forefathers have tried everything. Use our forefathers as a slave. Do all sorts kind of things. Still our natural resources, they couldn't destroy Africa. And you, the chicken change people, came nowadays and start to speak about Africa. Start to speak the dirty parts of Africa and take the picture and videos of the part of Africa, those people who are hungry, those people who need water. You take their videos, take their pictures and bring them Europe here. And you come and lie to your people so that Africans are dying of hunger. Which country in this world there is no suffering? And you, the Europeans, are suffering. If I tell you the Europeans are suffering, you believe. You don't believe it. But if I tell you the suffering parts of Europe, will you believe it? And I'm talking to black Africans to tell them that Europeans are suffering. And I will tell them the suffering parts of Europe. Europeans are suffering. Because everything in Europe here belongs to government. In Africa, everything. People, you see someone using, they bought it. They have it. It's their own. In Africa, people's own land. In Africa, everybody own your land. But in Europe, everybody live in rent. Every house belongs to government. You have to rent it. You, the Europeans, are suffering. Everything about you, the Europeans, is about your government borrow you money. Later you pay back. You work for free. European citizens are slaves to their prime ministers because they work and to return the money back to the government. When the government pay you before month finish, you return the money back to the government. We know the system of Europe. How many years have we been sitting in Europe here? So we know the system in Europe here. The Babylon system, we can take it. The suffering you people are into, Africa is not that much suffer like that. How many of you, the Europeans, go to Africa and refuse to return back? How many of you, the Europeans, have the wish to go to Africa and stay there forever? How many? How many of you, the Europeans, have built houses and big business in Africa, decide to stay there forever? Then why are you staying in a place that you know there is corruption? That you know those people are dirty, those people are not good, those people are criminals? Because you call black people are criminals. Black people are terrorists. When your prime ministers are terrorists. Italian prime minister is terrorist. France government, France prime minister Macron is terrorist. German prime ministers are terrorists. Ukraine Prime Minister was terrorist. Ukraine President. Spain Prime Minister is terrorist. These are all terrorists on Africa. They are all terrorists. Australia is terrorist. Australian Prime Minister is terrorist. Switzerland, they are all terrorists. Sweden, they are all terrorists. Belgium, Denmark, talk about the countries' names. But you, the European Prime Ministers, you sit in your TV and call Africa corruption. There is corruption in Africa. Oh, we need to help Africa because you see, whatever is happening in Africa, we need to go there and help them. We need to put this money together. We have sent 28 million in Africa to help the poverty in Africa. And you, the European citizens, are sitting here, you think that whatever your prime ministers are saying is the truth. European prime ministers are thieves, terrorists, criminals, fools who steal from Africa to make Europe to survive. But today, because Africans are migrating to Europe, you call Africans nobody. But in 1850s, when malaria was killing you people, you run to Sierra Leone. Why do you go to Africa? If Africans are criminals, if Africans are nobody, why do you run to them for help in 1850s? Why? But Tony Blair, Boris Johnson from UK, these are all peoples who are terrorists, criminals, fools. The world big criminals are walking free, but these little criminals who we meet on the street, they are criminals, right? We call them criminals. The people who steal 2,000, who steal 1,000, we call them criminals, thieves. But we are not seeing people who are stealing billions, trillions. We are not calling them criminals. Everybody is afraid to call them criminals. Everybody is afraid to call European prime ministers criminals, thieves, because they are on big position. They can arrest you. They can lock you up. Who the hell are they? I am not afraid to be locked up. Even if you call me on European Union Parliament meeting, I will still say the same thing. European Union is trying to make the relationship between them and African Union more tight because they know they survive by Africa. When I send a new request to European Union, why don't they reply? When you give me the chance to send you a request and I send a request, why don't they reply? I am Jara Lamin. In case if European Union see this video, let them go to the requests, the applications they give to people to send them requests. Why don't they accept my request? Why don't they answer my questions? The questions I was sending to European Union. Why don't they answer it? You know what I tell them, they don't have answer to it. If they know the answer, then they will never say the answer out. You think we are fools? You think we are fools? Because we migrate from our country, because we travel, we didn't even migrate. There's no migrant. We are not migrants. Black people living in Europe, they are not migrants. Without us, no country will survive. When we came to Europe here, then every European country that accept migrants, where their economy was increasing, because you use black people to build your economy. Now they call us criminals. They call us thieves. Black people are criminals. Black people are thieves. Black people are terrorists. Black people are fools. Black people don't know nothing. But without those black peoples, you, the Europeans, Americans, UK will not survive. When your prime ministers are thieves, criminals, European prime ministers are thieves. European prime ministers are criminals. I will want to face one of the European prime minister who will deny that he is not a thief. Before I will be assassinated, everything in me, I will bring it out for Africans. And why are they still commanding we the Africans? Because we underestimated ourselves. Africans don't value Africa, and we the Africans don't value ourselves. Why do we look down on ourselves? When we know we are the father and the mother of the planet, the whole planet, but we still underestimate ourselves. They still rule us. We don't care about ourselves. We copy their systems. Africa can never copy European systems. Africans want to copy the system, the culture of Europe, and become Europeans by copying the culture of Europe. But Europeans are never copying the culture of Africa. But Africans are now abandoning their own cultures and follow European cultures and American cultures. This is the main reason we can't liberate Africa. People said, no, Africa can never be liberated. How will Africa be liberated when we, the Africans who will liberate Africa, when we are trying to abandon our own cultures and our own things and believe in white man things? And those things we abandon, those are the things that white people are coming for. But we are there, abandoning our own culture. Those cultures we are abandoning, those are the cultures that white people are searching for millions of years they couldn't get it. But we get it now, we are abandoning it and following them. They are trying to use us to follow the role they are playing. But they are not really playing that role. They are trying to play the role we are playing, but they want us to jump from our box and go into their box, and later we will see them in our box. They told us that the box we are in is not a good box. It's a bad box. It will break later. It will never make us rich. We should go into their box. Their box is good. Their box will make us rich. Then we are all jumping. All Africans are jumping.
All of this now you heard what this guy said. What do you think? Our leaders, you need to say something. You need to stop. You need to drive these people. All of them. We don't need them anymore. Please subscribe and follow the channel for more detail.